Hey, welcome World Entertainment. And don't you love when media outlets change their tune to how they originally painted pictures for you regarding other shows and movies and stuff? Because every Star Trek series under Alex Kurtzman, they've praised. It's been, this is finally the best Star Trek we've ever had. Oh, finally, he's rejuvenated Star Trek. Finally, he's done something Star Trek has never done before. It's all that type of crap. Until they flip the whole narrative, because now that Starfleet Academy is out, what's their headline in Screen Rant? Well, how about a headline that reads, Starfleet Academy can succeed where every other new Star Trek series has failed. Yet, what are they talking about? Villains. They're talking about a villain. More specifically, Paul Gadamini's villain. And the ironic thing about this is they're painting the picture of he's the best villain we've ever had in modern Star Trek history. He's been in 2 episodes. That's it. Out of 10 episodes, he's been in 2 so far. And yet they're wrapping it up now as he's the best villain ever in modern Star Trek history. Which is hilarious because every time Kurtzman Trek introduced a villain, they would praise that villain. Oh, this is the villain Star Trek always needed. Oh, they finally done something with the Klingons or the Romulans that has never been. Oh, they finally did this with you, blah blah blah. And now all of a sudden it's, oh no, that all failed. This is the true villain and the true take that will last a lifetime for people. It's like, really? So let's have a look at this article because this is ridiculous. And by the way, what's going to happen when this guy ends up either being killed or whatever, and then Strange New Worlds comes out? Are they going to say, well, Strange New Worlds can do what Starfleet Academy failed to do? Are we going to get that type of article? So it's saying here, Star Trek is filled with iconic villains, and it's often these nefarious scamps that bring the franchise to life. The Klingons, the Romulans, the Borg, Q, Khan. It's no exaggeration to suggest a good villain often results in a good story. Right off the bat, you have to point out Star Trek does not have actual villains. It has antagonists. And yes, there is a massive difference. Ones you could truly say were more of a villain would have been the likes of the Dominion. But even they had reasons for doing what they were doing at the most part. Klingons, Romulans and stuff, no, they're antagonists. They're not your traditional villain because they actually were seeking out something more. So, and then the fact that they're trying to say a good villain often results in a good story. Again, the villain they're about to talk about as the standout for modern Star Trek has been in 2 episodes. We've seen him twice. So this continues saying, but while modern Star Trek has produced plenty of worthy opponents for our heroes to battle, it hasn't ever managed to introduce a new recurring villain on the same level as those mentioned above. Star Trek Prodigy's The Diviner was a brilliant foe, but looks unlikely to pop up elsewhere. Strange New Worlds successfully turned the Gorn into a major foe, but the show's best original antagonist, Captain Angel, hasn't resurfaced. Star Trek Picard promised a threat even worse than the Borg in Season 2, but then forgot about it. The problem here is Season 2's villain for Picard was actually, and this is no word of a lie, ice. Yet, because they went back in time to 21st century Los Angeles and the main threat there was ice. Yeah, ironically, Picard Season 2 called it before it actually became a real thing. So it's just like, oh good God. And the bigger threat than the Borg obviously was Q, and they gave him space cancer. And yeah, the less said about that the better. Captain Angel, if I'm right on this, I believe that was the trans actor. In fact, that's who they're talking about there, which I don't even remember their episode. I don't remember anything about the character other than the person playing them was a trans actor, and they thought, look how progressive we are. It was like, fuck off with this garbage. As for the Gorn being turned into a major foe, you mean the species who shouldn't even be known at this stage, and they've turned them into these just rabid, cannibalistic creatures rather than actual smart, intelligent foes. Yeah, well done there. So it says, still, it's Star Trek Discovery that spawned several golden opportunities to create the galaxy's next big bad. Being set shortly prior to the original series made it difficult for Star Trek Discovery to add any notable enemies to the roster. Instead, the series had to make do with redesigned Klingons and a broken AI no one can talk about. That should say nobody can remember. I vaguely remember it. I don't even remember what it was called. It ended up just being like a rip-off of the Borg anyway. So, but moving into the 32nd century gave Star Trek Discovery the space and opportunity to go wild in terms of creating new villains that could keep coming back for generations. Yeah, right. And it's not like Discovery lacked characters with potential. Season 3 Emerald Chain, led by Osray, I think, could have been the next uber powerful faction in Star Trek's timeline. An ever-present problem like the Klingons during the original series. Instead, Osray was dealt with inside a single season. That was the group who was led by the Orion woman, who Michael Burnham didn't try and reason with, didn't try and negotiate with, just straight up shot her in the head. And then, what was their plan to escape their ship? Was it, hey, let's negotiate with them and say, look, your leader's dead, you gotta let us go, blah blah blah? No, they went, let's use our bloody spinny warp drive thingy, whatever it was called. I can't even remember what they called that stupid thing. And even when they were told that will destroy the ship, they went, yeah, tough. They made their bed, let them lie in it. You know, this gigantic ship, so big that it could keep Discovery inside it. And yeah, they just sacrificed every single person on that ship just to get away. So yeah, negotiations be damned. So the following season's Species 10C, by the way, I never watched season 4, so I have no idea what Species 10C was. It says here, 10C had an ominous aura not entirely unlike the Borg. The godlike race had Starfleet on the ropes, and being an enigmatic force from beyond the known galaxy made them even more appealing. But the 10C turned out to not be villains at all, and while making them benevolent was a touching sentiment, it couldn't help but feel like an anticlimax after so much promise. Again, like, even through season 4, for what any videos and stuff on it, I don't even know who they're talking about, so that shows you what kind of impact they made. Paul Gadamini's News Bracca is the best villain Star Trek has had for quite some time. Sharp-tongued, charismatic, ruthless, intelligent, and unafraid to get his hands dirty, Bracca is a rare mix of cerebral wit and brute force. He's a 32nd century mafia don ruling over his subjects with an iron fist while putting on a facade of being a reasonable man. How did you get all of that from 2 appearances? That's all he had. 2 appearances. And those 2 appearances in the first episode were incredibly short. He was in the first 3 minutes of the episode and the final 15 minutes of the episode. He is then introduced back to the fold in episode 6, where he was literally there talking and doing nothing more than talking. He didn't add anything to the story. What he was actually brought there for, he didn't do anything really. It was like, oh, he's just here to give us explanation dumps about the characters. That's all. It's like, yay. So Starfleet Academy flirts with making Bracca an anti-hero when he forges a temporary alliance with Starfleet in episode 6, Cleverly, the series performs a 180 and doubles down, revealing Baraka was behind everything and making him responsible for a raft of Federation deaths, 2 of which we only see on screen. Now, with Starfleet's experimental technology in his hands, Baraka has developed into a top-tier enemy that has the galaxy's full attention, and ours. Except for the fact that we don't even know what he actually took from that space station. And his whole trap was set up for the fact that a chain of convenience happens. Oh, it just happens that they actually went at the time he needed it all to happen. It's not a coincidence. Then you have, and it was the same in the first episode when he set the trap in that asteroid field. It's like, well, what was the chances that the Athena was going to actually stop there? What if it stopped in that asteroid field but in a completely different section? Then what did he do? It's just like so contrived and stupid. So this wraps up basically saying the true test will be if Nus Baraka remains part of the Star Trek universe long term. Wouldn't hold my breath. If he meets an untimely end in Starfleet Academy Season 1 final, Baraka will be the latest in a long line of captivating villains who failed to join Star Trek's evil elite. Alternatively, Baraka could end the season on the loose or locked in a Federation prison, either of which would leave the door perfectly ajar for Gallimini to reprise his role in a future season of Starfleet Academy, or a different Star Trek project altogether. And this article is absolutely failing to realise that there's only one more season of Starfleet Academy, which is already filmed, so you would know whether or not he's going to be in there or not, because they would have spoken about that. He sure as hell isn't going to show up in Strange New Worlds, because that's set back in the past. And that's a wrap for Alex Kurtzman's Star Trek. There's nothing else. There's no new seasons. There's no new shows. They have hopes for it, but it ain't happening. So this guy is probably going to show up in the very last episode of this. They'll probably just blow him to hell, because that's all they ever do with modern Star Trek now. There's no diplomacy, there's no conversations, it's just kill them. And that's probably what's going to happen. So the fact that they think, after seeing this guy for 2 episodes out of 10, he is the best villain Star Trek, modern Star Trek, has ever had. Out of 5 seasons of Discovery, so far 3 seasons of Strange New Worlds, 5 seasons of Lower Decks, 2 seasons of Prodigy, and 3 seasons of Picard. But this guy in 1 season, who's appeared twice, is the best villain ever. Yeah, I'm pressing X to doubt. But what do you guys think? Do you think he is the best villain ever? What do you think about the idea of them having Star Trek villains as opposed to antagonists? Let me know. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like and share and subscribe and all that good stuff, and hit that hype button. You know the drill. Cheers. I'll catch you in the next one.